Hey there, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Harris here. In today's episode, I will be talking to you about the absolute most important factor when it comes to achieving any kind of legitimate success, momentum in fitness, or in any other area of your life, okay? And this is going to be something that's a little bit different than what you might expect or that you might hear or read about, from other sources. First, please make sure you listen to the very end of this episode because I'm going to be talking to you about a couple ways that I can help you a lot further than in just this podcast. Some free ways, some premium ways. Both options can be very, very valuable if you put them into action, all right? So make sure you listen out for those. Back to the topic, the most critical factor when it comes to success, okay? Let me clear some things out of the way first, things not to focus on, because you and I both most likely listen, read, watch tons of stuff, tons of information, whether it's for learning, whether it's for growth, whether it's for just entertainment. We are constantly consuming more nowadays. Okay. And that's one of the, key parts of this podcast and of my coaching with clients and of the work that I do. I try to break that away a little bit because of course I am giving you more information because, that's the only way that I can communicate with you. But I'm trying to have you focus on the right information for you and brush everything else to the side, right? Quiet the noise, subtract the stuff that isn't relevant or isn't helping you the most, and focus on what really matters. Not just more tactics and more steps and more this and more that, because that becomes everything that the typical person nowadays struggles with, right? Overwhelm, anxiety, not knowing how to start, all of these things that are, new world problems. We get that way because there's so many options. Okay. So just know that going through that I'm not giving you another one of the 1,000 things to think about as far as staying motivated, as far as achieving success, as far as becoming more fit for the long term. I'm giving you arguably, the only thing to focus on as a foundation, right? If you don't have this, nothing else matters. Okay. So what is this trait that I've been going on and on about? It is hunger, and not hunger for food, even though we all have that. I have it right now. I am looking at a lot of good food, a lot of cake that my girlfriend made. I really want some. Back to the topic. We're talking about a different kind of hunger. We're talking about the innate, right, internal, primal feeling that you get when you want something, when you need something. It's not just a cool goal or something that other people have or have gotten to that looks, like it's worth getting to. It's a real in your stomach feeling like you need to get this. You need to achieve this. You need to become this type of person because something inside that you might not even be able to explain is driving you. Okay. And while we're not talking about real hunger with food, it is related. Think about this, right? Put yourself in this example for a moment. When you're hungry, right? When you feel your stomach rumbling, when you haven't eaten in, 6, 7, 8, 9+ hours, when it's been a long day, it's not just that you could have some food if you, wanted to or if it was convenient. It's probably most of what you're thinking about, right? When you're really, really hungry, you're not thinking about a million different things or a million different options of things to do. You're like, I want food. I want to eat. It's primal. It's instinctive, right? That's our human being spirit. We know we need food. We want that. That's what we focus on, okay? And it's not the only thing we focus on, right? Because we need, there's other things going on we can still manage, but that's the main thing that's in our minds, in our stomachs. We want food. We want food, okay? So back to this more motivational type of hunger for whether it's, getting a leaner body or gaining muscle or getting stronger or achieving business success or making more money or improving some kind of relationship in your family or, so on and so forth. I get people coming to me all the time that ask, why am I, not motivated a lot? Why don't I feel excited? Why am I not getting anywhere? Why am I always going backwards? I'm not doing this or that. And, I'm not saying this is the only thing to think about. There's obviously more fine details and there's other points that we have to address. But ultimately, these people, most of them, are not hungry enough, so to speak, for what they say they want. Okay? Because if you want to get stronger, right? Let's say right now you feel physically weak, you feel soft, you feel incapable, you just don't feel strong. Whether you are a man or a woman, either way, you don't feel as strong as you know you want to. And you want to get, not just a little bit stronger, 5%, you want to become like a different you. You want to be able to lift the double that you've ever thought of before. You want to be able to never be limited by your strength. You want to be a completely strong person. Okay? Yes, there are principles with training. There are principles with recovery and nutrition and program design and all these things that, myself as a coach will talk to you about if you're a client, myself as just a person will talk to you if you ask me, right? You can find these on all over the internet, all over YouTube. That's how I started, right? There's all these actual strength training details that do matter a whole bunch. But at the end of the day, none of that matters if you don't have a real hunger to get there. So the person I just described that is super hungry about getting strong, they might not know in the beginning all of the proper details and this or that of how to go about it, but they're going to just start, right? They're going to find a way. They're going to, we have an instinct in us that is intelligent. If you want to feel strong and you don't know anything about fitness and training, you're going to find something heavy and try to move it, right? You're going to get a competitive spirit and say, I can't lift this log outside my house and I want to be able to do it, right? Think about all the movies you've hopefully, not hopefully, but you've probably seen that have to do with this kind of thing. There's these young kids or these adults that, they don't necessarily have a person guiding them. They don't have this exact method or organized set of rules before they start, but they just go start doing stuff, right? Like these boxing movies where somebody wants to become a fighter. They just start running. They just start punching stuff. They start lifting crazy things over their head. They start doing whatever they can do to just move the needle. And it's an instinct before you get to all the details, okay? Because they have that hunger. If you take somebody who wants to, improve their business, not for just superficial reasons or for reasons that aren't attached to them, but for real internal reasons that relate back to a bigger purpose in life, and they're hungry for that, they might not know all of the details of a business right away. They might not know exactly how they're going to get there or in what way, right? They might be scared, but they're just going to start working towards that in some way. They're just going to start, getting whatever they feel like they can do in this world, and they're going to go meet people and they're going to share it, and they're just going to build because they have a hunger. All right. So now I'm talking a lot about the people who do have that proper hunger and they're successful. Let's go to the people who, are not so successful at what they're attempting to do, because I think a lot of them don't have the real hunger. I'm just thinking out loud here. So forgive me if it's a little bit scattered, but if you stick with me, I think this will all, summarize into a really fine point for you if it hasn't already. These people that are not as hungry as they should be to get where they want to go often are focused on finding ways to get motivated, finding ways to get excited, right? Finding hacks and tricks and strategies and doing this and paying for that just to give themselves a chance to, stay engaged. When really, they just need to find a goal, a lifestyle, a purpose that is very, primal for them, that is very exciting for them just by itself. And then they don't have to worry about all that other stuff right away. I'm not saying when you find what makes you really hungry, you're going to be, hyperactively motivated every second of every day all the time. No, you're still going to get demotivated. Things are going to come up. We know that, right? We talk about on this podcast, if we've talked in person, if you've seen anything, right, you know that motivation isn't something that's always high at a peak. It comes and it goes and it gets really high, it gets really low. That's a constant. That's always going to happen. But again, and I have another podcast on this. If you're never motivated or if you're rarely motivated, like some people say, like, I just can never get myself to work out, right? It's not that you need some trick to get yourself to start working out. You need to think long and hard or, think about why is working out even something anybody does? Why is it accessible to us as a human being, right? Why should we even work out? Find something that gets you realizing how important exercise really is as a human being, taking advantage of the one body that you actually have. Get that stuff inside of you emotionally so you start to feel a hunger towards doing it because you realize how important it is. And eventually, you're just going to become the person who exercises consistently. And you're not going to be trying to overhaul these hacks and tricks into your life just to give yourself a chance. You're just going to be that kind of person because it's so internal. You have to find that hunger. If you don't have it, do something else or try different things or, I honestly don't know exactly. I by no means have the answer of how to give somebody hunger because it's a really personal thing. I have it in some areas and it helps me a whole lot, but I had to figure it out myself. Some other areas I don't have it and I want more of it. And I'm still struggling as I talk to you right now to find it. It's a long process. It's a forever process sometimes. So this is not a podcast to tell you that you have to, find the hunger within the next 10 hours, but you can start, if you're struggling, you can start. Finally, I don't want to go on forever and ever. The best, possible insight I have into what works and what doesn't as far as becoming successful in fitness, becoming successful with, habit formation and anything that somebody wants to achieve is first and foremost with myself, what I have been through, and close second, my one-on-one clients, because they are the people, besides myself, who I know obviously the best, and like the people in my family and closest world, they are the people, my clients, who I know the most about, right? Who I have the most help and influence with because they give me their attention, they give me their money, they give me their time, so I can devote my energy to going very custom one-on-one with them and understanding where their consistency is at, where their hunger might be, what might be deficient with their hunger and their motivation and their excitement with their goals, and then helping them define things so they stay hungry more. And my point is the clients that I have that are successful, which is, most of them, because by now I just take people that I know are the right types of people, are in some way hungry for change. They might not always be motivated. They might not always even know the exact best thing to do because no one does, not even I do. But they just do something anyways. They just want to work. They want to try. They want to give an effort because they really want to become a stronger, better, healthier person in all ways, right? With themselves, with their families, with their community, etc. The people that do not succeed or that just are always anxious, overwhelmed, hitting walls, never doing anything, I think are lacking the proper hunger to devote themselves to what they say they want. So moral of the story is be real with yourself. If you want something and you're never getting it, if you're never working towards it for real, you might not want it enough. You might have to find a different way to phrase it or find a different thing or a different pathway and keep experimenting. Life is long. Try a lot of stuff out and stay hungry. Okay. And as promised, a couple things that I can offer to you if you are still listening, which you obviously are if you hear my voice. Then those things are one, an email newsletter that I send out quite frequently, okay? And I'll tell you why this email newsletter can be different for you. It's not revolutionary. It's not anything fancy or crazy. It's a simple email that you'll get in your inbox multiple times a week with lessons learned from my life, my training, my experiences, and from my clients' life, their training, and their experiences. Stuff that works and stuff that doesn't work, right? Again, it's not just endless information. I'm giving you the summarized, clearest, actionable steps of what to do and what not to do that I think help in a lot of different situations as far as fitness, as far as strength training, as far as, even business development, as far as family life, as far as all of that stuff. So if you want that, it's free now. It's free forever. Go on my website, coachedbyharris.com, and there's some kind of, email opt-in form somewhere there for the newsletter or anything. You can sign up and you'll get the very next one. Or if all else fails, you can just email me always, harris@coachedbyharris.com. please put a relevant subject line just so I know what you're looking for. Ask me and I can add you manually to it. That newsletter I think will be very, very valuable if you actually open it, read it, and put it into action. Second is a one-time free coaching session with me. It's 30 minutes. It's done over FaceTime or maybe Zoom. And it is exactly like what I do with my paying clients, okay? We will have a little bit of a chat before the call so I understand where you're at, where you want to go, what you're struggling with. We can do whatever in that call is going to help you, right? Whether it's a full-on workout, whether it's exercise technique practice, whether it's discussing your overall habits with training, nutrition, and lifestyle, or anything else, or a combination, okay? We'll go through it. And again, full transparency, because that's what I'm about. I will absolutely in that call tell you about how my coaching works. I don't push it. I don't force it. That's not what I do, honestly, because I don't want people who, I don't want clients that don't actually want to work with a coach, that aren't ready for that. I want people who are like, yes, raising my hand, I want this. So all I can do is present the options. I'll tell you the prices. I'll tell you how it works. I'll tell you everything. And I'll tell you what the experience would be like for someone like you. If you're into it, we'll get started soon after with coaching. If not, that's fine. You can stay on my free newsletter and always, reach out with questions and I'll be here for you. So that's all I have. Again, that coaching session is also on my website, or you can email me if you have any questions setting that up. coachedbyharris.com or email me harris@coachedbyharris.com. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you very much. I hope you will continue listening. If you like the show, please, please, please consider subscribing to it on Apple, rating and reviewing it. That means a lot because I don't have so many reviews right now. The show is pretty new. I would love to see a review. I would love to see your thoughts, to see your name, to see that you're listening, and I would appreciate that a lot as well. You can share it if you think it'll be helpful for a friend or a family member. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you soon.